So 2021 was yet another hell year, but I'm not here to focus on that. Instead, I want to focus on the positives, such as all the great films I watched this year. I watched 54 releases from 2021. As usual, UK release dates slightly differ at times, but I'm about to cover my top 10 films of 2021. I'm going to start with some honorable mentions. I only have two, so I'll get them out of the way pretty quickly. The first one is The Mitchells vs. the Machines, which was an animated film released on Netflix this year. Yeah, I watched it at a very difficult time during this year, and it really made me appreciative of my family and those around me. And the second one I want to recommend is Malignant. It's a film that was absolutely hated by quite a few people, including people I trust, but I just couldn't help but absolutely adore the last half an hour. It's ridiculous. Yeah, watch it for yourself. So, starting with number 10, we have West Side Story. While it lacks the youthful exuberance of the 60s version, Spielberg has managed to craft an excellent version of his own of this musical. Next up at number 9 we have Spencer, a film that takes the reality of Princess Diana and uses it to weave its own fable, taking the very conservative and regimented nature of the royal family to create a claustrophobic atmosphere that permeates through every action. Kristen Stewart is tremendous and Pablo Larraín's direction is excellent. At 8 we have Shiva Baby. It's actually quite impressive how packed this film feels despite its very brief runtime. Full of anxiety and uses its cramped funeral setting to really amplify that. It's full of awkward conversations and scenes that are really brought to life by a wonderful ensemble cast. Quite funny at times and just wonderfully chaotic. Definitely worth a watch. At 7 we have Palm Springs, which employs the time loop narrative concept to explore how finding the right person can make this hell world worth living in. But more than that, it also shows that in a world that feels tiresome, futile, and full of nihilism, that you should actually give a shit. Life is worth living if you make it so. You don't need to spend every waking moment being a ray of sunshine, but you should try to care about people and just give a shit. This is full of laughs, some great introspection, and J.K. Simmons. What more could you ask for? At 6, Minari is a tale as old as time told from a new perspective. This perspective is what makes it feel so fresh and engaging. It manages to feel quite tender while also not shying away from the obstacles that this family faces. And this family is very easy to root for, which is probably what makes this film so captivating and engaging. So, top 5, here we go. Starting with Nobody. There's no doubt this is a power fantasy, right? I mean, a dad that's seemingly emasculated in every single area of his life turns out to be the ultimate badass. It is, however, an ultra-violent power fantasy, and it's just a shit ton of fun. There's some awesome scenes throughout that I will make no apologies for absolutely loving this. Bob Odenkirk is perfectly cast because he's so unassuming but really manages to capture the distinct personalities that this character has. The film also takes itself less seriously than the franchise of films that obviously inspired it, John Wick, and it really embraces the comedic moments at times. I mean, there's something so endlessly funny about a chair being lobbed at somebody that's injured in a hospital bed. I mean, this is dumb, fun, and just the right kind of film I needed this year. At number 4, we have Annette. This is just absolutely mental in the best possible way. Over the years, I've mentioned this idea of magic and how a lot of modern films seems to be missing it, but this has it. It's massive in scale, but never really dumbed down. It's weird and unique, and it's, oh my god, I have no experience with opera, like no personal experience with it, but this is what I could imagine being described as operatic. And I really struggle to talk about this film, because there's so much I want to say, but also I literally don't want to spoil a single second for anybody who might go watch this, because I really want it to be experienced for what it is. Some people will absolutely hate this, but I adored it. Then, in third place, we have Come On, Come On. Quite possibly the most heartwarming yet also heart-wrenching film I've watched this year. Probably Joaquin Phoenix's most quiet and reserved performance, but it is utterly tremendous. There's just an authenticity to not just his performance, but all of those involved. The black and white cinematography is stunning, and as a film so focused on capturing audio, the sound design is top-notch. I did not expect to love this as much as I did. And as I get older, I find myself leaning towards this idea that kindness is very important to us as a species, and sometimes the kindest thing we can do is just listen to people. At number 2, we have the film that was top of my list for quite a few months, and that's Pig. I wasn't 100% sure what to expect when I went to watch this, but this certainly isn't it. However, I loved it regardless. I'm not going to say it's one of Nick Cage's best performances, but it's definitely one of his most grounded and real. This feels like it should be a revenge thriller, but it's not. It's something much more emotionally charged. It plays with expectations beautifully. Anger gives way to sorrow, and then the importance of love in our lives takes center stage. Grief is a topic that is so overdone in indie films these days that it's very difficult to do anything new or interesting with it. And yet, this film achieves something quite special. Instead of leaning into the violence that is very obviously apparent in Cage's character, the film focuses on empathizing with him, on creating a connection with him. Food is such an important part of our lives, not just from a survival basis, but from the connections that we make. Personally, I love cooking for people, and it's something I've got to do very sparsely this year, but every opportunity I've had, I've savoured every second of it. And I just hope that the people I've got to cook for realise just how much it meant to me, and I hope it meant quite a bit to them as well. So, number one, my film of the year is Dune. I don't feel like I need to break down why this is the best film I watched this year. I'm going to, because that's the whole point of this video. But you've probably gotten the chance to see it by now, so you'll know how you feel about it. And I just want to ask you the question of, when was the last time a blockbuster film actually delivered? Like, not talking about the MCU, because it's kind of a different part of the film, and it's not the same as what blockbusters used to be. But this is exactly what I want from a blockbuster film. It is massive in scale, but not really dumbed down. I mean, that's, if you ask the people who read the book, maybe it's slightly dumbed down, but it's not as dumbed down as it could be. It's the type of film you don't see studios take risks on anymore. And you get why, because they've kind of figured out the best way to make money and they've stuck with it. But it's very frustrating, because I'm not saying all blockbusters used to be really risky and excellent, but they were more common. So this is what I want. I want more of this. Villeneuve is just at the top of his game. His direction is impeccable. He's just smashing out hit after hit after hit, which is why he probably got the chance to do this. And I am super glad that he's gonna get a chance to do part 2, because I was really worried that when this film came out, it wasn't gonna do well enough, so he was never gonna get to finish it. I do think my feelings on this film can change depending on what happens with the second film. Because right now, this is an absolutely excellent film. And I was waiting until I rewatched it. But upon my first viewing, I generally think it's a masterpiece. It's excellent. It's everything I want from film. But can he stick the landing? Will the second film affect what we think of this film? We're not going to know until it's released. But all I know for now is that the best film I watched this year was Dune. So that's it for 2021 for another top 10 video. Oh god, this year has been an absolute fucking shit. There's been some good parts. I am very grateful for those good parts, but this year has been absolutely shit. And if you can't tell right now, I've either got a really bad cold or COVID. So it's a great way to end this year, right? Fucking, oh god. I'm just glad that I've still got film. That's the one consistent thing I've had for this entire year. And I thought I lost it at one point, because it was just, I couldn't get back into the swing of watching a lot of films. I was concerned I wasn't going to pass the 200 mark, which is really a really weird thing to be concerned about, but it's just the way my brain works. But I did in the end. I've passed 200. I'm like 226, 27, one of the two. I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, film has been there for me. Like, it's one of the reasons why I try to speak so positively about it instead of just shitting on everything. I mean, I do that right as well. Like, my letterbox isn't just positivity. I can't be one of those people. I need to criticize stuff. But when it comes to talking to people, I try to focus on just talking about the things I like. Because the last thing we need when we're going through all the shit we currently are is just more negativity. So I'm going to continue focusing on the positive stuff when it comes to film. And I don't know, we'll see what 2022 brings to us in terms of film, in terms of the videos I can be bothered to make. All I know is that 2021 was a year, and there were films, and these were some of the best ones. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you've watched any of these, or you do watch any of these, please let me know, and maybe we'll have a conversation about it. I'm always open to that. But that's going to be it from me, probably for another year. Stay safe. Love film.